All right, and it's been going on for a couple of seconds. And welcome to the Just Call It podcast. I think it's been going on for a couple of seconds. It totally caught me off guard, but we're doing it from the garage. Yes, it seems plain Jane, but welcome to the club. Not everything is always perfect view. It comes from the garage, as it always is, as most things did, like the beautiful companies like Google, Apple, all those other companies. This time we're doing this podcast a little bit more relaxed, chill, because this is what it is. This podcast is hope everyone can hear me. See, there's one viewer, I think that's probably me. Who knows? But today we're going to talk about a lot of things. But first, we're going to always talk about the most important news. I think to me is that the rapper DMX died. I think everyone's already talking about that, but I think it's something to bring up because he was a really good inspirational person. To me, it was because he helped me in a lot of things. I think it was kind of frustrating going a lot through school in elementary where I was growing up, and also kind of like in middle school and stuff like that. I think a little bit in high school, like getting like bullied and all that shit. Obviously, kind of sucked, but really it wasn't that bad because in the end it turned out pretty good. I learned a lot of things in my life out of that. I mean, I got bullied a lot, fought my way out of a lot of situations, avoided a lot of situations, and all I can really say about that is that it was the best thing I could really ever do because I made it out alive, right? Not a scratch on me. I'm totally untouched, and I'm just sitting here enjoying myself. I'm not drinking too much heavy shit right now. I'm drinking some Dr. Pepper. Not a sponsor. It's been pretty awesome lately to just relax. Been taking a lot of days off work through a lot of situations. As I think in the topics I put in my podcast and description, kind of wanted to talk about, depression and addiction because it's a tough thing to deal with. I think addiction goes unspoken in a lot of households, with families, with parents. Sometimes addiction goes ignored and goes kind of unnoticed. Sweet. I am trying to maneuver things right now while I'm trying to talk on the podcast to try to share this to the world, as anybody probably would try to share this to the world. One thing you should do is go to the Just Call It podcast website. It's a very interesting website. I used a really cool website maker called Squarespace. I'm not a sponsor of Squarespace, but I'm sure there's a lot of podcast sponsors of Squarespace. and it's been really good to use Squarespace. That's all I gotta say. About to post this on Instagram right now. Somehow post it so everyone can see. I can't really do it. So I'm difficult, not really a tech savvy guy. Boom. I'm gonna text it to my own self. Bam. I probably lost all the viewers. And the viewers are probably just myself. Cheers to that. Sooner or later, I'm about to break out the beer right now. It's gonna be awesome. And I hope you enjoy it. Gonna get some viewers right now. Gonna make this a party. Shoot. Trying to paste a link I didn't even copy. Wow, that was kind of cool. No. Sorry guys, this is probably really lame. Almost done. All right. Let's go. Welcome to the Just Call It podcast. We are trying to get some people to join. About to crack a beer. Mm. Let's get back to what we were talking about, everybody. One difficult thing that happened for, well, not technically for me, but probably for the family of the Simmons family is obviously the death of DMX. And obviously all the fans and the close people that were probably helped him in his life, and the people that helped him through his struggles and all that stuff, who've been touched and everything, and who have been helped by him. I think it's really tough because he's helped me, like I said, through a lot of kind of things, and not personally, but more through his music. I think he's probably done that for a lot more other people in a more in-depth way. I think for me, oh, the mic went down. Hope you guys can hear me. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Anyways, like I was saying, it's been a really good time these past couple days. Like I shared in my last podcast, I was able to go down to San Juanito de Escobedo in Mexico. Like I said, that was really fun. Got to see a lot of different things. Got to see some family down there. So when you go through a lot of stuff, it kind of a lot of changes, and you're kind of adjusting through a lot of things. It makes things difficult. When you're going through a lot of adjustment, you have to be able to adjust. A lot of adjustment in life. It's difficult to do, difficult to maintain as a person. Can't really deal with all those things. So it's hard to maintain a hard, a hard spirit, in front of everybody. Inside of you, you feel like shit, but then you try to show everybody that you can do whatever it is that you're trying to do. You're trying to show that you feel no fear, but in reality, you feel like shit inside. And I think a lot of people try to hide that. I think DMX tried to really explain that in himself as a person. I think a lot of people who really, to me, seeing him, obviously the guy was a tough ass dude, but in reality, I mean, the guy broke down on stage, even to himself, and it was tough. For somebody like him, so tough to be like a Rough Rider guy, to do the music, to even do like the anthem, to do the music and everything. How can you even believe such a thing? Something like him to break down on stage, live concert that he did, he broke down and passed and freaking broke down and freaking cried. And he's just a freaking tough ass dude, tough ass rapper, tough ass freaking guy. He died at freaking almost like 50 years old or 50 years old. And there you go. There goes another legend rapper gone. Can you believe it? He just did the verses with Snoop Dogg and all those things. I think his addiction was a lot of bullshit. I think his addiction for everybody is a lot of bullshit that everybody has to deal with. Addiction's fucking tough, man. It's something tough if you've ever been through it, or you're currently going through it, or you're currently going through sobriety. Sobriety is great. When you go through those stages of sobriety, you feel awesome. You feel spectacular. I'll break out some of my old notes in a little bit. Try to grab them. Freaking bright with this light right here, man. It's probably super loud. Charging my phone. For anybody joining, I'm not sure if there's even anybody there. It's probably still just me. Thank you for anybody who's still here watching the podcast. Thank you. So I got a lot of old notes sitting in front of me that I've collected over the years. Such things as addiction, poetry, old emails that I've shared with people, which I will obviously not read, things that people that I know, but I will obviously share the things that I can share. So, so that was like a poem. I think that's kind of cool. Put it on a little cardboard at work. I was at work, just doing my thing, like my own stuff, man. Oh, I can't. I don't know if I'm the only viewer or what, but thank you for still here looking at the podcast. That's kind of awesome. Drinking beer to you. So yeah, it's been really cool. Difficult, dealing with things and all that shit. And I think addiction really fucks with people because it really fucks with kind of like more your brain. I think at the end of the day, it kind of fucks with your decisions and what you kind of want to do at the end of the day. Because your intentions when you kind of wake up as an individual is that you really want to do some really good things. You really want to go out there and trying to get things done and kind of be more happy and be more vibrant about life and be more of a leader. But at the end of the day, with your addiction, and then you do the drug that of your choice, well, now you feel like shit. Now you feel like you can't even function without it. And then you got to make sure you have a supply or a backup because you never know what might pop off, whether you might do something fun tonight or you want a little bit more because you feel like shit or you want a little bit more because you want to have a little bit of fun. Whatever the reason is, there's always a reason to have a little bit of more. I don't really think I'm not trying to browbeat anybody, but I struggle with that. And I'm just trying to share what I kind of tell myself is that, my kind of logic behind things, when you try to make decisions for either drinking or smoking or fucking inhaling or sniffing whatever it is that you like to do, ingesting it, whatever it is. So like I said, I got some of my old poems here, and a lot of old notes and stuff like that. I think things I might have from my old addiction classes. I'm not 100% sure, which I wish I can. I gotta make sure I have that. And that's what I really want to share today. And I apologize. I don't have that ready. So yeah, I got some here. Old note. It says, "Baby, step inside. Come right in, pressing backs against the moon, or caress these sinful dunes." That's some old stuff. And then under a silhouette of light, as if a speckle across the grain. A little note right there. This is my little book that I have here. Old little book that I have of things, of little poetry that I made. Each one that I have. Kind of read some. So this was kind of like the prologue of this little cardboard box that I was kind of writing at work into a little finished thing I wrote on a Word Microsoft document here. So Untitled for the Unsure. That's the title of my book. The poem kind of is like the inner, kind of like kind of like the interlude or whatever of the whole poetry book, as you would say. So it says, "For my love, pressing backs against the moon while we caress these sinful dunes, dancing in a hypnosis of light as if a speckle across the grain. Eternity is what I speak of. Again, eyes so gentle as water beads lay mist of your presence. Thy silk is down, leaves me in the act of gazing. So that was from this to that. If anybody liked that. I'm gonna read one more, and then I'm gonna keep going through this whole list, this whole stack, because it's a big, huge stack. Here's the first poem that I ever wrote, and it was written in November 7th of 2007, and it was at 11:49 p.m. It's called Daydreaming. Warped movement through time while colors reflect through sunlight, with milky baby blue skies and circulus white clouds above, slowly fading in the violet abyss of space. Night begins to fall, sending cascading shadows through lurking corners. Street lamps illuminate the path, drugs for the imagination, the infinite high. So that was my first poem. What do you think about that? So I don't got that spoken word style that most people got. I'm more, I would say, traditional, which is kind of like more like stanzas, which I think some people will find boring. And let me quickly save you guys from freaking getting unplugged from your boy, because that would be kind of lame, right? And I need to plug you right here. Boom. Yeah. All right. Cheers. Finding the battery to that freaking computer while you're probably on like a Zoom call or just like right now because the YouTube thing was about to like cancel out and shit like that. And then all of a sudden, and what happens if it just faded out and I just fucking all that work for nothing? Damn, that would have been hell lame. All right, let's go through the thing. This is my ASVAB test. I don't probably got a high score. I'm going to show that. I don't give a shit if anybody took a picture of that, anyways. So who cares? All right. 10 questions to ask before you buy a home. You guys can go figure that out. All right. Some emails I can't share. Bada bing. Ba-do-do-do-do. More things I cannot share. Here's another poem. Here's another poem that's kind of like sad, but then has a good ending, which I love always doing polar opposite poems because people always feel confused about it. But everyone always does the opposite of what they first choose to do, usually because they feel like shit and they say, fuck it, I'm not going to deal with this shit. Then they end up having to deal with the shit anyways. That's life, right? Cheers to that. So, here's another poem. This is to Bay for the Bay Area. So I love the Bay Area so much. I always like to I'm part of it. So that's what I am. Part of the Bay Area. That's part of my poetry. I want the Bay Area to be known more for its poetry. I want it to be renaissanced, if you want to say. So here's some of the poetry. Universe, when will it be my time? My time when things are perfect. Will you grant me this wish, or will I have to manipulate the atoms of my nature? I beg you, if I do so, I will change the nature of your existence. So please separate me from the mischief. Let me please be at rest, that the anticipation will not be my mind judgment, no more in the membrane. I love the colors that seem defining of my feeling, hard and apparently so beautiful. Finally, a moment of myself on the resolution trail of La Corte de Madre Creek, Redwood City, California. Grand is its forest with lush redwoods coloring the ferns, stones with shadows gray and unseen. But the poet, desolate, matter of fact, the poet is inspired, resolved, that no doubt the poet is trekking lightly for every step. For every step is but a memory, because you have to soak it in. For when you get back into that car ride back home, reality will hit you, and that is expected. But in those moments, let this step put everything into words. May this step know that before leaving the ground, summon the worlds of pain that have troubled my thoughts for locking me up at work, for locking me in those backstabbing thoughts, jabbing those thoughts on my way back home. And home is where I dwell in those tides of emotion, thus leaving my decisions making like a wet towel trying to clean a soaked up floor. It's just not possible. Rise up with emotions of relentless pursuit to be shot down by truths of old ways. Oh, may this step be going up and going up on a Tuesday and all year, way through the year. For this is not my last, but for be my first of many more timeless situations, inhibitions, intuitions, mind tricks where the perception bends to be manipulated life's love and the love of my life. May the step make a paycheck actually turn into a payday. Oh, let this step be grand and teach me that the following step after will be just as great and even fucking better. This step teach me to get off my feet, to do what I've always wanted to do, to be happy, to approach the day like a golfer in his swing. Teach me the Buddhist ways, the beliefs of emptiness, of hate and disappointment of myself. May the step take me home, all the way to my room and into the bed. This step will fall on top of my helpless mind and crush my brain where it will land. And with that, that thought would have been and has been deleted. But this step never made this far. Only a foot forward in front of the other. And that is the reality of this step because it is fucking heavy. So, I think I'm the only one in this fucking room listening to that poem. And if I wasn't wearing my glasses, I'm pretty much fucking crying right now because that was written in a tough time. So I got some more poetry. All right, let's keep going through this. Boom, 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 boom. Let's make sure it's legit. So this was written at work. I wrote this. I usually write poetry really quick, right off the top. I don't really like editing stuff. I know a lot of poets and great laureates and all that shit like to to edit, and I'm sure a lot of people would tell me the same, and I would probably lose in a room full of debates. But I still don't give a fuck. So I have that kind of attitude towards things, and I think that people should still do whatever it is they want to do. That's the simple fucking matter. It is. That's we do our lives, right? We don't live in the world to please others. We live in the world to do what it is what we need to do in order to our lives to just be happy. It doesn't mean that we fucking kill anybody, but we have some goddamn sense, right? So I wrote this poem at 9:39 a.m. at in March 2016. All right, here we go. It's just a kind of random poem. Not really. I'm just kind of reading off the top. There's a lot of stuff here. Holy shit, it's really long. Oh, there's like five poems here. It's kind of like a Jim Morrison song. Here we go. This poem called "The Feeling." The feeling is spiritual, present, partial, blind to the future, and can't see the past. The feeling is not so much about the self. The feeling alone is already fulfilling. The feeling is consistent and not persistent. It doesn't keep a list. It just keeps going into an endless wave of turning big problems into little problems. It's expected to question the feeling, to feel it out. The body must vibe, jive right. But that's when the feeling has left, when your doubt is gone. So doubt fight the feeling. You'll deserve better. With that said, people who experience that feeling, the mode, the fire, the desire, the scene, the game, the attitude, and the aptitude, and the goddamn thing that makes you better, you know will never want to lose it again. The feeling is not tolerant of non believers. Heck, the feeling doesn't even mess with people of that sort. The feeling is untouchable and truly does make a collective statement. It casts a shadow within the shade. The feeling is new, even if it's old. The feeling does not wait, nor it's restless. The feeling is just what it is and stays being itself. The feeling only is what it wants to feel and feels itself. But the feeling can't be broken. The feeling can die, though. Once you choose to set a standard, well, some things get canceled. Xing out feelings is possible, but you can only do it to yourself. Hold on. I got cut off. Great. All right, next poem. I think this is a little funny poem. So here's if you guys like funny poems. I too wish I could be great. Win the lotto. Spend money and do everything. Countless and endless and mortal, impractical, and morally insane things that really have no bound to human perpetuation. No clearly things that me alone find enjoyable, like climbing trees, hiking, bowling poetry, endless beer tasting, skateboards every day, a bong rip wherever I please, women, friends, family, and of course, spending time doing me. Yes, I too wish I could be great, but it's just a day to day life for me. And then a smile at the end. All right. That was one other poem. That was a funny poem. All right, let's get that one. All right, let's go to the next. All right, I really like this one. So here we go. Death, death, and more death. Expedite my ticket to the chill. Put in front of your stack. Put in front of your stack because I want to be next in line. Anyone who knows me well can see it in my eyes. The weights of these disorders have made it hard to operate a normal life. Fast and quick, sharpen the scythe for an easy kill. I have exposed my neck for numerous thrills, love and heartbreak, failed attempts, small glorious days, rejoice in life, shot back down by my own strife. Never mind, death, your job is done. I have struck myself with a self wound. Bleed and die slow, like you planned. All right, that was some poetry. Flipping through some more. Boom, 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 boom. That's one I read. I read that one. Universe, when will it be my time? I read that one. I'm here to write something that pray to do. Flipping through some stuff. Went through Catholic school, man. Got some old stuff from here from Catholic. There's some Catholic classes for when I got married. All right, here's a little. I used to make these little pocket notes for myself every day. To kind of tell me my agenda and kind of tell me something encouraging. I don't care if someone takes a picture of that. All right, here we go. Here's an encouraging quotation from Mike Ditka. It says, "Success isn't measured by money or power or social rank. Success is measured by your discipline and inner peace." All right. All right, here's some of my things to do. That was kind of cool. All right, so boom, we're gonna move through this thing to do some sexy notes I have for my wife. You can't see that. Some Valentine's Day notes. You guys can't see that. Boom. Some more old notes of poetry on cardboard boxes. Here's some more notes. I got so many notes, random little notes of poetry. Here's some cool little poetry from my own notes. I'll take a breath and stare at the rest, fore-torn from reality's formality of incomprehensive souls. Care for floors, wicked tongue pressed on manufactured bristles of pleasure. Once welcome, then leave. The crescent moon. Bartender spoken of soft saloon. Place under a crescent moon's game of wicked crime. That's an old little rough note right there. I got some cool little copies of some poetry I got. Some Edgar Allan Poe, To Helen. It's a really good poem. Got some really good quotes by Jim Morrison. That's one I printed a long time ago. Printed that in 2008. That's an old print. Here, let's read one. I love the ones by William Blake because I love William Blake. Blake said that the body was not soul's prison unless the five senses are fully developed and open. He considered the senses the windows of the soul. When sex involves all the senses intensely, It can be like a mystical experience. Oh shit. That's what I'm talking about. Sex being a mystical experience. Fucking Jim Morrison had that shit right. Here you go. Here's a old submission I had in 2011 for my art. Got some old art, man. Old note. There's something I wrote in a little study class trying to hit on a girl right next to me, kind of being like an idiot. It was in college, like a stupid ass. I drawed in front of her. That's pretty dumb, right? I'm pretty sure if that girl's listening to this, that'd be kind of funny if she's listening to this. Like, yeah, man, I was kind of stupid that I was literally sitting right next to her trying to impress her with my drawing skills. And in college. In college. Yeah, in fucking college. Like 18-year-old douchebag. Yeah, great. That was cool. I think I even wrote this about her. Let's read it. I'm not gonna even say that person's fucking name. So let's call it. Let's say this poem. So if this person's fucking reading knows me and sees this, kind of funny because if that person's even married, it's even more hilarious. Okay, so here it goes. It's called Alcoholic Lovers. Egyptian flowered bloom moon over a soft saloon, cradled by a soft sky's tomb. Night chimes sound like crickets in delight, with that hint of summertime life. Decades under the influence, followed by mistletoe innocence. Come here, my mistress, as a temptress so luscious, bring forth thy fingertips and place your lips on mine. Resonate on this time, disguised as lovers in this rhyme. All right. So that was called Alcoholic Lovers because alcoholic lovers are always disguised. They're never real fucking lovers. Remember that. So if you think you have someone you think you're hanging out with, having a fucking good ass time, and you're drinking with them a lot, or smoking with them, or doing some motherfucking drugs, you ain't fucking going anywhere with them. I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. Mm. That's good beer. All right. Here's some testing I took when I was in freaking high school. That's pretty lame. Here's some more poetry I wrote. This was also in 2007. Um, this was in November 2007. Here's another one. It's called The Mirage of Peripheral Perception. Consciously running through life while puzzles are grown from roots thought. With a short glimpse, our sorrow, the inevitable deception, the light of peripheral perception. I wrote that shit on motherfucking MySpace, bro. I'm gonna put that right here. Fucking MySpace. You see that shit? MySpace. MySpace. I don't care if you see that. Screw you. Here's some here's some notes I wrote in Berkeley, the Botanical Gardens. Really freaking awesome. Wrote a poem there on some paper. Took some notes of some freaking plants. Can't even pronounce them. Hypoxis region of South Africa. Hypoxis. Some more old notes. All right, who cares about that? Anyways, so I think one thing is that if you do anything, is that you seek help. You seek help if you have any addiction problems. That is one thing that I totally recommend that you do. If you have any addiction problems, you definitely go out there and seek some help because that's the best thing you do as an individual. As an individual, it's easy to definitely have addiction problems and drop off and not care really about what you kind of deal with, and you just want to have fun, just trying to do your thing and fuck around. But one thing is that's really hard as somebody who's addicted is to definitely accept help and want to get help. And accepting help is probably the easiest thing you can do as an addict because most of the time you don't want to get help as an addict. Help comes to you most of the time as an addict. And most of the time as an addict you don't even see it. You don't even notice it. So anyways, another news. And if I also want to make clear that I also was an addict. I'm an addict still, and I think people should obviously maintain their level of respect for people who have addiction. And if you don't, fuck you. That's that's from me to all the addicts out there. I'm sure they respect that because for real, if you don't have any respect for people who are suffering from addiction, I mean, screw you. So, anyways, like I was saying, the infamous DMX passed away, unfortunately, and I mean, he had so many freaking fucking good songs, man. I mean, we can even play some of his songs on here. I don't even want to do that right now because we'll probably get pulled off on like YouTube, probably, or somehow. I don't even know. And I think he was just a really great person. He really has suffered a lot of addiction problems himself, and that's what I'm saying. You see that kind of guy, and you look at somebody as hard, successful, um, wise, been through a lot of shit, and he made something of himself somehow, and you respect his path, and you want to try that and try to do that as an individual. But it's really tough sometimes because not everybody can really just do that. You can't always just go ahead and do those kind of things. You know, you obviously need to can't just be DMX. And this thing fell off. That's great. Hope y'all can hear me. Hello. All right. So that was kind of weird. All right. Anyways, back to the podcast. In other news, DMX, like I said, he fallen, unfortunately, passed away. And also, you had him being a very influential person to a lot of people. To me, I think he was kind of like a follow up to, I would say, maybe Tupac, but he was kind of in the pretty much almost the same generation, just a couple years later, like literally just maybe 1 or 2, 3 years later, maybe five. And then, he was just a rough and tough guy that went through a lot of shit and just somebody you probably didn't really want to fuck with. And to be honest, he went through his own addiction problems, and a lot of people probably didn't want him to do that. Tried to help him, he just still did his thing. And anybody who goes through addiction is gonna do the same thing. I would do the same thing. I mean, I wouldn't blame him going through that. I would totally do what he did. That's obvious. I would totally be somebody who would be in in his position if I really was. It's a really, really tough thing to go what he was going through. But like I said, you know, um, it's been really good talking about that because and sharing the poetry and talking about a little bit about DMX because obviously those things have some relation, addiction and struggle and mental health and being trying to be a man, but yet you have to deal with your emotions and deal with things and all that stuff. But in a lighter note, funnier, but yet who gives a fuck kind of news. I call this topic is it's okay to do, right? It's totally okay to do type of thing, but it's totally not wise and how he did it. Here's an example. Paul Pierce, very famous Celtics basketball player, decided to stream or whatever, post some type of video of himself, hanging out with some strippers with his friends and throwing cash and all that shit. It's okay to do that because, that's his life, right? Who cares? He's rich, famous, all that stuff. He got the money, he got the friends. If he's single, whether he's married or whatever, that's his agreement, that's not his agreement. That's his life. But that's okay to do, not wise to post it or talk about it or stream it or even make any videos. I wouldn't even like tell any of my friends to make any videos. I mean, just for my own safety, I wouldn't even do that. It's just kind of ridiculous. Somebody would even go through such a thing. But anyways, that's it. Thank you.